is Jenny Lauren Dowden for Conduit News. On November 2nd, Bentonville parents will have the opportunity to vote in a new school board member. Today, we have one of those candidates who is running for Zone 7. His name is Mike Swanson. Mike, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you know what? School board issues, what's happening in our schools, this is such an important topic right now. Tell us why you decided to jump in this race and get involved locally.
Yeah, I have kids in the district. I have my daughter's a fourth grader in Bentonville Public Schools. And, for me, it was, I've just been very concerned with a lot of the overreach of power that we've seen, really from essentially every level of government in the last, since the pandemic started. But yeah, all the way down from, federal down to state, down to what we've seen in our local government with school boards. Implementing mandates and for me as a parent, it was frustrating to feel like the school seemed to think that they knew more about how to raise my child than I did as a parent, and that they knew more of the intricacies of my child and what their needs were more than me as a parent. And that's really what kind of got me frustrated enough to say that I needed to get involved and be more active with what was going on in the schools.
So how has your campaign gone so far? Once you announced and then you're out there talking to parents and community members, what are you hearing back from people?
Yeah, it's been, for me, it's been kind of a wild ride. I'm just a dad that really felt like I needed to get involved. So, outside of voting in elections, the whole political process, campaigning, everything's been kind of a new experience for me, but I feel like it's going well. I'm getting a lot of good feedback. A lot of the parents that I've talked to, a lot of the frustration is that they feel like they're not really being heard, or like they're being kind of belittled or demeaned by the school, feeling kind of like what I was saying is that, when they voice their frustrations with the school, it feels like it's not being none of that feedback is being taken into account. And so that's a lot of it. Obviously with the masks, we, again, as parents, there's a lot of kids who have, particularly young kids, who've got, certain, whether it's learning development issues that where a mask is particularly prohibitive to their education, and, and certain things that are just really cause a lot of frustration for parents, where they just felt like, as a parent, they know what their child needs, what they need to learn and to be successful. And the school just was not being flexible. They weren't listening to parents on that regard. So that's been a big thing. Obviously, we, as a rapidly growing community, there's always frustration with zoning and how plans are being developed, and there's certainly issues with, the capacity levels of different schools. And me, again, as a younger parent, a lot of the growth is coming from the elementary levels. And so there's a lot of frustrated elementary parents who really, a lot of us just don't have the time to get involved and to voice and even get, in front of the board to give them our opinion on how things are being done. And so I think that's what I've heard a lot of as I'm out talking to folks and kind of, well, just take the time out of my day to go listen to what, a lot of times, like I said, they don't have time to go get in front of the board, but if somebody's going to come to their house and ask them what their frustrations are, that's a lot of what I'm hearing, is that they feel like their kids are crowded, they've got long lines, they've got just all sorts of things that make a young family's life a lot harder than it needs to be. So
just zooming out a little bit, what would you say are the top issues facing public education today?
Well, again, like I said, I think this last year we've kind of lost our minds a little bit in terms of what the role of the school is. The school, I believe the school is there to be an assistant to the parents, to the family, to help the child become educated, to prepare them for a successful future. It is not the job of the school to be the custodian of the child with sporadic help from the parents here and there. So I think that's one. Again, like with all levels of government, we've seen this overreach, and I think that's a big issue. I think we need to get schools back to being focused on educating and back to managing infrastructure and facilities and less out of the home. The other thing is a lot of the concern that I hear is, what are kids being taught in school these days? They feel like, and there's certain elements of critical race theory that's being pushed in schools, whether, and not necessarily from an official curriculum necessarily, but certainly certain classrooms are going to have concepts that from critical race theory that are being pushed and included in a lot of their teaching. And so that's certainly a concern of parents and grandparents that feel like that's really not an appropriate place or an age to be introducing some of those concepts.
What do you think is the role of school board members specifically?
Yeah, so there's certainly, I've gotten some concern from folks. They're worried, with a lot of these elections that take place, they're worried they might be electing some kind of activist to the school board. But really, in my mind, I view the school board as just a check on the power of the administration, on the direction of the administration. The school board is, I believe it should be, parents from the community that understand the community's values and are there to make sure that the school administration and the school, as a entity is acting and teaching in line with the values of the community. It's not necessarily to the board to prescribe action necessarily. I mean, I trust the school administration to come up with action plans and policies, but is the role of the board to vet those ideas and to ensure that those policies and those plans that the school board or that the school administration comes up with, that they are in line with the community's values.
Recently, the Biden administration has essentially, they weaponized the FBI and the DOJ to come after. The National School Board Association sent a letter to the administration and said, hey, help us with these, these parents that are coming after us. So then in turn, the administration said, okay, well, here's the FBI, the DOJ, we'll consider anyone, who goes up against these school boards in such a way they can be categorized as domestic terrorists, which is just insane to me. Give me your opinion on the climate of, of how things are today and what you see as the role of, a parent or community member speaking into those things that are happening within the school.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the Biden administration, they always seem to take things to the extreme. When really what I see is I think it's been encouraging to see a lot of the parents and just, grandparents, just community members, taking a more, active role in really trying to understand what's going on with schools. I think people are waking up to the idea of how important schools are and the role they play in shaping our society and our communities. And so I think folks are not necessarily becoming, really even, upset, but they're wanting to know. They're being a lot more inquisitive. They want to understand what is being, how things are being run at the school level. And so, I'm encouraged by that. I think it's a positive thing. I'm an example of it because, again, up until this year, I had kids in the district, but you kind of just assume things are going well, and so for me, it was time for me to get involved, to get, a little more educated on how it all works with our school board, with our school administration, and what kind of things are being, where money is going and what we're spending our tax dollars on. And I think that's a positive. I think it's a good thing for our citizens to know and understand how their local government works.
Well, listen, the election is happening November 2nd. How can people find you? How can they get involved in your campaign? Maybe this will be their first time voting. They're like, wait, where is my zone? Where can they go to get information about all of this?
Yeah, so we've been posting information on our Facebook page, which is if you search for Swanson for BPS. all spelled out. And we've been posting a lot of the information for voting locations, voting times. Early voting starts on October 26th and runs through November 1st. The election day is November 2nd, like you said earlier. And, you know, the zone, we've listed out, you know, where the zone is. It essentially, it's the largest geographic zone in Bentonville Public Schools. And it basically runs from kind of where the amphitheater is down to Cave Springs, out to the airport, and all the way up to Centerton. So it's a big, what was once a very rural area of the school district is becoming very rapidly a lot of subdivisions, a lot of homes. It's the fastest growing zone in the school district. So
we wish you all the luck with the upcoming election, and
Sure.
thank you so much for coming on Conduit today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.